Yeah, you definitely need to grind down more. There's something going on there. Uh-oh. Wish I could do a reassembly of this, but I unfortunately cannot. At least not visually. Oh, shit. Okay. I must have had all later. Hey, Bubby. Actually, well, I got some peanuts in there, actually. What do you think? Yeah. You know, I'm wondering if the fucking rat that used to be in here has just died or something. Because, like, I haven't heard much commotion from this little fucker in a while. Or maybe it's stored up a nest and it's just chilling there forever. Being a bored little rat king or something. Instead of a rat king in a traditional sense, it's just like a single one just by himself. Alright, that's it, bud. Oh, Sukov. No. Oh, back up with the cat. Oh, that poor kitty. It was a Siamese cat. It's that same cat that comes in all the time. Oh, come on. There we go. Sukov, what are you doing? I don't trust you when you start walking away from my yard. Hey, Zooks, come on, dude. Get off the road. Hey. Goober. Look at you. You're so silly. Ow, my eyeball. That's actually really nice. Actually, I'm new mix prep with some homes on the phone with real estate agent. Nice. Hell yeah. Sounds like good shit. Fucking hell. You're a spider web? Zukoff, are you just gonna stand there? Oh, buddy. Don't scratch yourself over there. God. Stop it. Come on. Hey. Branches and a flag. Like these nuts don't want to get popped up there, I guess. I got spots to put these. Oh, pretty sure I just saw a bird. I think. When I just did that, I think I spooked a burb. Sorry, burp. Man, it's fucking warm out here. Come on, Zukoff. Zukoff, come on. Zukoff. Hey, come on. Why are you being a little stubborn little brat today? Alright, there you go. I've got a lock apartment door. I had to run 3 blocks back to lock it. I was laughing and a bit pissed. Jesus Christ. Dude, you really need to fucking deal with that shit. Like, seriously. Because it actually is a problem. Like, you need to, like, have, like, some sort of, like, notebook or fucking, like, have alarms set for yourself, like, every hour reminding you of random bullshit. Like, I'm not even kidding, dude. This coming from a guy who's a forgetful fuck himself. Boy. You love a little bish. Little bish. Yes. Look at that little tail go. Yes, little bish. Oh, goof. There we go. Hold on. Fuck. Damn it. Ugh. Yeah, so I reported a fresh bag of food because we didn't feed them first thing I got up. Oh, feed your damn cats! You gotta feed them. I mean, don't you have like a big old food bowl for them to like, you know, constantly eat at? I heard that's technically not a good thing to have, but that's what I do for our cat. There's a big old bowl, and whenever they want, they can go to it. Super Zukov. Well, speaking of which, there is a fresh bowl of food, so I hope he doesn't have to bitch at me. Feed him every 2 days. Dude, what the dude, feed him way more than that, bro. You gotta feed him at least like once or twice a day. Yeah, no wonder they're fucking rating your shit. You're like barely feeding them. You gotta like, you know, fucking fatten their asses up. Good lord. I'm going to do my split screen. There we go. Favorite every time the bowls I'm due, which is about 2 days. Well, I mean, they probably are looking around for other food too. I mean, they can't just have just kibble. I mean, like what we do, or at least what my dad does at night, is that yeah, he has like his like food bowl, which that takes like 2 to 3 days to go through. Yeah, but they always want like at least like some full on meal. They give them like wet food, you know, and shit at least once a day. I'll turn this bad boy on. See what news is going on today. Feed the keys, tuna. Well, there's something. It's a tuna before bed every day. So at least feed them once a day then. Okay, well, you just should have said that. I refill their bowl every 2 days and I feed tuna every night before bed. There you go. Now I didn't have to like be like, what the fuck? Why are you barely feeding them? What the hell? Jerry clears 3 men in the last trial tied to the plot to kidnap Governor Whitmer of Michigan. Acquitted 3 men in the last trial connected to the planned kidnapping. A scheme was portrayed as an example of homegrown terrorism. Well, no shit. Wait, so they were found not guilty of providing support for a terrorist act and weapon charge. They're the last 14 men to face charges in the state or federal court. 9 were convicted and 5 have been cleared. Why haven't all of them basically just been given a death penalty for all I give a fuck? I mean, fuck these pieces of shit. These fucking weird Nazi scum, and it's like, oh, yeah, we'll let a few of them go, but, you know, have a few of them be sacrificial lambs. Give me a fucking break. Michigan, you're being pretty based there for a second. Like, I was actually thinking you were pretty cool, Michigan, and then you do this. So you guys support video? I have not yet. Yeah, we can check that out. Oh my god, it's a 30-minute okay. Fuck it. And no full screen for me? Okay, cool. Thank you, YouTube, for being that way. There we go. Bop. Bop and a boop and a boop and a bop. See what absurd, like, how do you do fellow kids situations are going on here. It's pretty funny, a little sad since they found millennials generally are willing to sell out. You do realize selling out is not a generational thing, right? Like, millennials and Gen X or Gen Z is, like, not, like, mysteriously immune from selling out like a bunch of fucking unfettered parasites. I mean, they're not, you know, they're not excluded from that at all.
See, as that inspirational figure that represents your generation. Like, you can go out there and say, that could be my president.
I support President Trump because he represents freedom.
Oh my God, spoken like a true fucking Valley girl. Jesus God. Oh no. It's like...
I'll leave your card if you want that.
Oh, wait, where did I put that? I think it's in my room.
I'm not leaving it.
Yeah, hold on.
Not until tomorrow when I get off hold with the food stamp people.
Yeah, whatever. Here, hold on, let me grab it real quick. How about that? Okay, there we go. Shaboom. Is money worth it? Yeah, probably. Yeah, to some of them, probably. And the thing is, for for others, it probably isn't really mad money, but probably just power. At least power in a sense of being able to be like, oh, like I have influence over people. I have sway of what people think and this and that. Basically, being an influencer. Soothe the emptiness inside you. Well, I'm sure it does. I don't know. And like, they think that this isn't like some generational betrayal shit. Like, I wouldn't be betraying it like that at all. It has nothing to do with that. Like, these are people that, been conditioned to believe, whatever. We could get more into this. Hold on.
I think we're not prime enough. In Texas, I feel like they just use a rare gem. That's the way that I feel about it. They're like, oh, you want to be a trad wife? Perfect. Like, my dream is to be a mom. Like, is to be a wife. Like, that's what I want. And when men hear that, it's like, they want that.
I think with some...
Okay, maybe that's for you. Power to you, lady. Go do it. Go have fun with that. Like, I mean, I think this is like what is a part of it. They have these ideas like this, like, yeah, I would like to be a wife and have kids and stuff and be a housemaker. My valley girl, like, just dumb headed voice. Yes, that's what that's why. I mean, it's just like, you know what? If that's what you want, then go out there. Like, more power to you. But they think that this is like some sort of a societal conditioning or like essentialist, and because a lot of conservatives in the far right, push a lot of that bullshit, then it essentially, conditions a lot of these type of same fucks, to think, yep, this is good. Which to them it is.
Enters into any contractual agreement, such as taking out loans for college, there's an obligation to pay that back.
COVID still exists in California, apparently.
The Republican Party is well aware of the fact that young voters pose an obstacle to their electoral chances in the future, and that problem is only going to get worse because 18 to 29-year-olds aren't just more progressive than older generations, they're actually getting more progressive over time. So this Harvard Youth poll finds that young people have actually become more progressive when it comes to...
Yeah, we'll do this. 18 to 29-year-olds are getting more and more progressive. Strict gun laws, action on climate, same-sex relationships, food and shelter are right. From 2010 to 2022. And strict gun laws, that's pretty much been overtly... Whoa, actually, it's had a ever so slight decline. It spiked up immensely. And then, ever since then about, it kind of had an ever so slight decline. And then, it seems like for most issues, it seems like it kind of goes up, but then it might have like a little bump here and there. And it seems like during like 2019 to just before 2020, so basically 2018, 2019, It seems like that's when a lot of these, issues kind of started getting a lot more contested. Or at least, it caused some people to maybe change their positions for a little bit. It seems like even between 2016 and 2017, too. Like during the Trump inauguration shit. So it seems like there's like this period, or like these moments, that people will be like, I'll hear your side for a second. They might, have a back and forth for a little bit, but then like, nah. After enough like data information or, looking it up and shit, it just like explodes, in more popularity and support. But that, and also I think, a lot of these big jumps too are because, people are now becoming 18 and shit. It's like, hey, you're 18 now, so like, what would you think about these issues? Like someone who was like maybe 14 at, 2014, but then is 18 at 2018. I mean, obviously at that point, then they will probably, be referred to into the poll. So, I mean, either way, seeing that it's just like growing and growing, even if there is like a little bit of a back and forth. One thing that actually kind of surprised me is the whole action on climate. Like, this is the one that actually has the most amount of decrease. Like, which I think a lot of it is probably just due to other issues. Like the food and shelter, right? Like that is increased immensely. So it seems like a lot of issues about like housing and socioeconomic issues and shit like that have become a lot more of a prevalent problem for people. Which, yeah, I'd agree. I mean, it's like you can't exactly do much action on climate if you're starving to death and homeless and like on the streets. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, yeah, you can't exactly do much for climate if that's your situation. You know what I mean? So.
Several issues since Donald Trump's election in 2016, and as Greg Sargent of the Washington Post explains, demographer William Frey and his colleagues calculate that by the 2036 presidential race, Gen Z will represent 35% of eligible voters. They're growing up in the 21st century America that's far more diverse, inclusive, and globally connected than the 1950s and 1960s America of the GOP's base, Frey told me. Quote, they're going to shun the Republican Party as they get older. Exactly. So if this trend continues, then that will spell doom for the Republican Party. So they know that they have to respond, and they can respond in one of three ways. First of all, they can complain and call for the voting age to be raised to 21 or even 25 if you're presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy, but that wouldn't be very popular. In fact, Vivek's own staff objects to the idea, but that is one response. They could also...
I mean, like, when even your own staff are fucking on you for a position that you want to try to push, I mean, you probably want to reevaluate your takes. Just a little bit.
Try to appeal to voters directly by doing voter outreach. Now, the way that they go about this can range. They can try to make a policy appeal or try to pander, a la fellow kids, make it seem as if conservatism is hip and cool. But they don't necessarily have to change anything per se, but just the mere attempt that they are trying to reach out to young voters and say, hey, we want your vote. That is one way to respond. And finally, they can stop being utter dog shit and actually embrace policies that young people support, and then perhaps they will naturally gravitate towards the GOP.
Oh man, I'm glad that this is here.
I can't even say that with a straight face. We all know.
Yeah, like that's ever gonna fucking happen. The exact opposite is gonna happen. They're gonna like quintuple down and say fuck you.
Completely out of the question, which leaves them with the two former options. And since the 26th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution bars age-based restrictions on voting once you're over 18, well, that first response isn't actually a real...
Crazier things have happened. I think we're past that point right now. Like, I mean, we're at a point in American politics where, like, I think whatever crazy shit, like, has happened in America at one point has, like, at this rate, like, the crazy shit that happens now kind of transcends that a little bit. I mean, the most crazy thing that happened to, like, American politics is probably, like, yeah, the party flip, Watergate, stuff like that, but this, this shit doesn't even compare, bro. Like, I'm just gonna be honest, it just doesn't.
For them either, which means that they're left with one.
But still some possible. Yeah, well, the thing is, though, like, you wanna know why, like, crazy things haven't happened in America in the past? Because Jan 6 happened, okay? Like, I mean, that's probably the most craziest fucking thing to happen in American politics, honestly. Like, legitimately. Like, I mean, like, an overt attempt of a fucking coup. It's like, Jesus Christ, bro. I mean, it's like I know random like rebellious actions have happened in America and all this other shit, but like just it's something like that though. That's like generally an unprecedented situation.
They've got to pander, and that is exactly what they are officially trying to do.
Civil War tops Jan 6. I mean, okay, well, sure, like Civil War, I mean, I'd say it's at least, around that. Because, Civil War, yeah, I mean, sure, but... Yeah, I mean, who's to say, though? Like, I mean, who's to say, like, Jan 6 isn't, like, a precedent of being set, for more crazier shit to happen. That's kind of what I'm saying. It's like... Yeah, like, crazier things have happened. Nah, things are just gonna get crazier. That's my contention.
So there's been a couple of examples of right-wing propagandists trying to directly reach out to young voters. For example, Fox Business host Maria Bartiromo hosted a Young Conservatives Week where she brought on young conservatives like Tommy Loren to talk about young people problems. Also, Fox News host Lawrence Jones hosted several panels with young voters, and Alex Clark of Turning Point USA hosted a cute conservative panel where they made an appeal to young women, and that was very, very interesting. But so far, based on what I've seen, and I've watched all of these videos, to say that their outreach to young people is not going well would be the understatement of the century. So we're going to look at a couple of examples here, and you're going to see what I mean. So the first being the cute conservative panel by Turning Point USA's Alex Clark.
Oh, God.
This entire thing felt like a psyop to me to convince young conservative women that the way that they can attract boys, perhaps the best way to attract the best boys, is to be conservative. And the way that I'm setting this up makes it seem a lot better than it is in actuality, because this was incredibly condescending and patronizing. But they know that young women in particular pose a threat to them, given that young women are smart enough to realize that this party is going after their reproductive health. But just watch the way that they make this appeal to young women and say, hey, this is why you should be conservative.
Let me ask you guys something. Do you feel like you stand out in a good way to boys because you're conservative? Like, are they like, you're conservative, you're posting all these conservative beliefs?
You as like a gym. Like,
because some of you aren't old enough to drink yet, but I mean, when I...
What? Like, what about... What did she even say? It's like, it's jam. Like, what? Like, hey, can you not, like, Valley Girl giggle, like, your way through your sentence so I can understand what the fuck you're saying? It's like, oh, God.
Going out and stuff, like, if I get asked at a bar, what do you do for a living? And I say, oh, I work in politics. Oh, so what does that mean? I say, I'm conservative. They flock to me. They love it. They love it.
I don't buy that. You're at a bar where a bunch of, like, horny dudes are like, oh, wait, you're a tradcon conservative political lady? Oh, yeah, let me just flock to you. Like, yeah, r/that happened there, lady. Like, I mean, and also, what's this weird idea where you imply that, like, I know some of you are, are like 18, but, if I was at the bar and stuff, like, that's already not compatible for some of these people, if that's the case. Because if you just openly said that, like, some of y'all are 18, then this doesn't work for them. At least not yet. So, like, what are you talking about? I mean,
After their friends run up, this girl says she's pro-life, and then they want to have a whole discussion about it. So it plays well for me, so I'm curious, being younger, how it plays for you.
it's definitely like...
Wait, so now she's saying that, a bunch of dudes flock over to have a conversation with her? Like, okay, I'm just gonna give a benefit of the doubt on this one. You know what? Maybe because you went to a bar and you were, like, saying some, like, stupid pro-baby takes or, like, pro-forced birth takes, and you're just like... And a bunch of dudes are like, why are you, as a woman, saying crazy shit like that? And having it back and forth with you. I can maybe see that. Maybe, like, one or two of them be like, yeah, it's my double lady. But I guarantee you they're, like, 6-year-old, weird, like, retired trucker, like, conservative dudes.
Extremes, because in California it's either like, I can't believe you don't want to split the check, I can't believe you don't want to take care of your man, but like lead the relationship. Everyone is very, at least in my area, against religion, against just general, like the 10 Commandments, the
What, LA? Bitch, it's LA. Like, do you know how many people live there? Like, what, the entirety of LA is anti-religious, anti-10 Commandment, which is basically the same point twice. So, you're repeating yourself, basically, because you have nothing else to say. They're, like, anti-religious, and, Anti-religious? Yeah. Like, you just said the same thing twice, but just in a different way. Like, oh my god. Oh no. No, man. I feel my intelligence dying. Whatever, like, brain cells I'm having right now, they, you know, to be woken up, they're waking up to literally just immediately die. So, this is great.
Kinds of conservative values and religious values or having a faith at all. When men...
Okay, that's her shtick. Alright, she's like a hyper weird religious freak. Okay, that's just her shtick. That's why she just keeps going back to it. Man. That is like an immediate, like, nope. It's like, you know, I'm like talking to a chick, you know, maybe I'm like, you know, kind of, you know, things are kind of clicking a little bit, and then she starts going off about God. I'm like, nope, I'm done. I'm out. Like, it's not even over the virtue of being, like, anti-religious inherently. It's because you're just shoving that in my throat and, like, constantly wanting to be, like, on and on about, like, gourd and shit. Like, I don't care if you're Christian or not, just don't go off about it endlessly like a weird fucking, like, Puritan. Virtually horny pagans. Well, sure. I mean, honestly, like, I mean, they tend to have, like, some of the most, like, crazy, weird fun, so, you know.
Hear that I'm conservative, they run away just as fast as the girls. But when I go out of state, it's a completely opposite reaction.
So you need to live California.
Do high school guys bring up that you were really into politics?
Usually they're into like fishing and hunting.
Do you think they find you into...
I don't know, some guys I, you know, talk to are just like fishing and hunting and stuff, I don't know. Like, oh my god, good lord.
I think so, possibly.
Yeah, I think all of us have been described as intimidating.
Really?
Yeah.
Intimidating? Like, yeah, I would barely give y'all a fucking glance if I saw y'all down the street while I'm walking to work or something, okay? If y'all were walking past me on the sidewalk or something, I'd barely give you a fucking glance, let alone be intimidated. Like, I mean, what?
Too. Or too opinionated, or it's intimidating because I already have everything figured out. I'm like, well, you gotta catch up.
No, you don't.
You got a lot to learn.
In Texas, I feel like they just see you as a rare gem. That's the way that I feel about it. They're like, oh, you want to be a trad wife? Perfect. Like, you, because, like, I'm very upfront about that. Like, my dream is to be a mom. Like, is to be a wife. Like, that's what I want.
Then go do it. Go live in Texas and find some weird, like, chuckle fuck in like some random obscure farmhouse in the middle of nowhere in between bubblefuck nowhere and McJohn's Fucksville, you know, and then like right outside of Houston, and go live there. I mean, no one's stopping you.
Here, that's like they want that. Is
anyone else for that? Is anyone else on your campuses or at your school saying things like, "Oh, my biggest dream is to be a wife or a mom"?
No, you don't hear that anymore.
Is it only career?
You heard it here first.
Oh, you don't hear it anymore? The fuck are they talking? Oh my god. No, I love this weird, like fantasy they've kind of made up where, like, oh, in these, like, liberal, like, you know, lefty areas, you know, they never talk about, like, religion and faith no more. They don't talk about ever having children and maybe have families anymore. Which, is bullshit. Because, like, just from my own experience, I know plenty of fucking people that do shit like that, and, hey, shocker, they're not even necessarily conservative either. Like, there could be people that are, like, you know, progressive leaning that can have these thoughts, too. Like, yeah, I want to, like, get married and have a wife or have a husband and have kids and blah, blah, blah. Like, that isn't, like, inherently a political thing, you know, necessarily. Like, so, you can have plenty of people that want those same ideas broadly, but not be, like, a conservative dumb fuck. I mean, it's just, like, those ideas still exist. It's just because there aren't, you know, strict in this whole traditional far-right Christo-fascist, like, idea that you want. Doesn't mean it's not happening, you fucking dumb bitches. Like, Jesus Christ. Ugh. Man, I hate this shit.
If you want to find yourself a good man, just...
And holy fuck, and there's more of this. I don't know if we're getting all to this, but oh my god.
Forgo any career ambitions and let him know that you want to be a trad wife and you want to be in the kitchen barefoot making him sandwiches for the rest of your life. And you also don't want to go to college and get yourself an education, and you can take it from these ladies that that's a bad decision because 3 out of 4 of them who are in college say that college is bad.
Now, you're in medical school, so that's different. So
Damn it!
But for you three, and you two, you guys are both in college, and you're in high school. Do you feel like college has been a waste of time?
Yes.
Would you have still gone to college?
Yes and no. So I have to really work hard in school.
So she went yesant, basically. Like, yes and no? I mean, that's kind of how I feel, I guess, technically. But it's not because of, like, whatever bullshit they're going to be saying. It's literally mostly just because of finances. Which, I don't know, maybe, you know, making more affordable education / making education free at the point of service will probably help with that.
More creative, and like I can do anything else. But when you put like a history textbook in front of me, I have to really put in the work in order to get like good grades and everything. But when I was a freshman, I actually...
Okay, so it sounds like that there are certain things that you're not good at, and there is some stuff that you are good at. That's... Yeah, so that sounds like pretty much everybody there, girl. Yeah, some people suck at things like world history and stuff like that and are really great when it comes to, like, creative arts or some shit. And so a lot of people are great at mathematics but suck at arts and whatever. Like, that... Yeah, it just... Yeah. That's a thing. You know, that's why college is a thing sometimes. So people can kind of figure shit like that out. Because sometimes, I mean, we can't totally figure it out in high school yet, which is fine.
Sent home for 25 days because a person in my class tested positive for COVID, and my professor called me out for the whole entire class. And he said, "Oh, well, you're not vaccinated, so just go home." I'm a politics and law major.
Oh, is that why you hate college? Oh, so that's the reason? So she doesn't necessarily hate college because she had to go, you know, do the work or whatever. She actually kind of seemed like, you know, she kind of spoke like any other typical college kid about it sometimes. Not all the time, but like a lot of times you'll hear kids, you know, that are either in or were in college that are like, yeah, I'd still go, but at the same time, nah, you know, a little back and forth. But the main reason why it's like, oh, this bitch not vaccinated, so go home. I mean, that's basically what she's saying. Which, one, I doubt that was the case. I'm pretty sure, you know, some professor wouldn't do that. Like, and for two, like, even if there was a kid that tested positive for COVID and shit, they would just, like, send the class home, probably for the day. And there wouldn't be, like, some picking out, you know, of a particular student.
I want to do something in the political world, and I'm going to a left-leaning university.
This is how you go. Hi, Mom Ben. We're watching crazy conservative trad wife weirdos.
Like when I go to the Leadership Institute conferences and here, like Turning Point conferences, that's where I learn.
Yeah, college is so stupid. I'm literally not learning anything, but I'm still in it for some reason. But don't make my mistake. You definitely shouldn't go to college, but I'm going to remain in college. But don't go to college because, you know, you don't want to turn out like these liberal college-educated folk here and end up voting Democrat. It's just so incredibly patronizing and insufferable. And if I were a young woman, I would be very pissed off and insulted if I saw that segment.
I mean, honestly, I feel kind of insulted not being a woman. Because it's just like, I mean, they're just taking, like, stupid little points of, like, basically, like, you know, irrelevant, you know, takes, basically, you know, that a lot of kids, you know, in college might feel. And basically trying to thwart it into, like, some weird bullshit of, like, oh, this is why you need to be a traditional conservative. That's why. Because don't, like, learn nothing or anything. It's like, maybe that's a you problem.
Because you're starting to see the general trend here, right? They're trying to market tradcon values to young women in particular by trying to make it seem as if, hey, young women, they only care about getting boys, so you can get a boy if you're a traditional conservative woman. And the way that it seems like they're trying to go about this is by getting other young people to preach about the benefits of traditional conservatism.
Man, I hate so much. Because one thing especially is that, like, not, you know, like, for the most part, like, I mean, no one really gives a fuck if that's what you want to do and you want to have a partner that's more traditional based or some shit. If you want to do that, go for it. Who cares? Just don't step on anybody else if they want to have a polyamorous relationship or want to have a gay relationship or whatever the fuck. I mean, like, don't be stepping on anyone else's toes over that shit. Just go do you. Have fun. No one's stopping you. It's like, fuck, it's like...
Because I think that they're under the...
It's like they have to have this idea that, like, oh, you know, it can't just be me that's, you know, enjoying this, you know, lifestyle. I have to make everyone suffer and, you know, like, you know, condone and, like, be indoctrinated and forced into, like, the lifestyle I want to live. It's like, no, go away, stop. I don't want to live your dumbass lifestyle. You can do it if you want. I don't care. I don't want to. Sounds like a fucking dystopian nightmare for me to have to try to, like, work my way around and adapt to. Like, fuck that shit.
That young people will succumb to peer pressure or something, and if they can get conservatism to seem like a hip new trend that young people are all embracing, then maybe others will want to jump on the bandwagon too. I mean, it's difficult to sell, though, which is a problem for them, because conservatism is inherently lame and uncool and morally bankrupt, and they'd have an easier time selling salt to a slug, which leaves them looking desperate and out of touch, as they did here.
And if anything, like, I think the main thing that really isn't palatable about it isn't necessarily, I think, the conservative shit. Because I honestly know even, like, some more, like, liberal-leaning people around here, and one of my friends even that has, like, kind of, like, a traditional idea about, you know, wanting to raise family and shit like that, but they're still, like, you know, progressive-leaning shit. They're basically, like, kind of like a more progressive, you know, spiritualist type, you know, people and shit, whatever. But, like, you know, I don't even necessarily think it's, like, the traditional shit like that. Because you can get people that, you know, can agree at least to some elements of shit like that, but not be a weird traditional conservative freak. You know, and because of that, I mean, I think it's not necessarily, like, you know, the, like, elements of the idea. It's just the inherent conservatism of it. Like, I mean, like, if there were more libertine with it, it's like, yeah, this worked for me, and I think, you know, it's awesome, and I love having this type of lifestyle and blah, blah. Like, if they were just, like, you know, saying, oh, it works for me, and I like it, and I, you know, think, you know, maybe, you know, other women might, you know, benefit from it too. If they were just a lot more, like, soft with the encouragement or something, I feel like it wouldn't be as, like, turned off in a way. You know what I mean? Like, because they're, you know, because Mike's right. Like, they are doing it in a very condescending, like, smug, like, oh, we're obviously right, aren't we? Like, they're basically trying to, like, you know, egg it on, instead of just trying to, like, you know, let you just, like, you know, instill the thought in your head yourself. Like, I mean, they're not planting the seed, basically. They're trying to shove it down the throat and expecting it to fertilize and grow. It's like, that's not how it works.
They're not only pitching traditional conservative values to young women, however, they're also reinforcing the narrative that it's not just good to be conservative, but it's the only good option for young women, and all other women who are not conservative are sluts.
I've been told.
And this is probably another element of the turnoff, and this is why I think it's not necessarily just like some elements of the idea, it's the conservatism behind it, and this is a part of that.
That it is absolutely...
Like, because, I mean, I know plenty of people that have some, like I said, you know, are progressively, have, you know, some, you know, like, traditional ideas about, you know, wanting to raise a family and shit like that, or at least, you know, that's what they, you know, kind of prefer a little bit, but they ain't gonna go out of the way to fucking go do slut shame bullshit or like condescend to others, you know, about like, you know, what is like the objectively the best way to like, you know, have a partner and this and that or whatever the fuck. Like, it's all that shit that's the turnoff. It's not the fact that like, oh yeah, I, you know, personally, you know, want to have this lifestyle and, you know, it works for me, and, you know, maybe it doesn't for everybody else or for others, but it does for me at least, and I like it. You know, and it's like, if you want to, like, espouse the virtues in that way, I don't think it would be as big of a turnoff. It'll be silly, and I'll still critique it, and I'll still think you're an idiot. But you know what? You do you, boo. It's, you know, you're making your choice at that point. You're not making it everyone else's problem. But now, when it comes to this shit, they are making it everyone else's problem. And trying to condescend and make everyone else feel bad and insecure about their own sense of self and how they live their lives, you know, because they're living it improperly. You know, that's the problem. It's not the problem that they live their lifestyles the way they do, it's that they try to shove it down everyone else's throat.
Possible and an anomaly today for there to be a woman who is under 25 years old, unvaccinated, does not have an OnlyFans, and has a body count less than 10. True or false?
The fuck does that... What? Wait, what? Wait... I just got whiplash. What? Are there women who have a body count less than 10, unvaxxed, and are what? I don't... Well, okay. Whoa.
False.
True.
It's almost impossible to find?
Oh,
Yes.
it's so impossible.
Yeah.
We go back to the fact.
What are they talking about? This is insane. This is insane.
Men meet a conservative woman, they're like, you are a rare gem, I'm gonna put a ring on it so fast.
And I think the best part of coming on like Turning Point conventions and all
that is so creepy with how she kind of did that, honestly. It's like, oh, you're the rare gem. It's like, if I was a woman, I would not necessarily want to be referred to that by like a bunch of dudes that are desperate to put a ring on me. That would freak me the fuck out. That freaked me out if like 100 women were doing that to me right now. Like, that would kind of disturb me. Like, I mean, that's a two-way street of disturbance. So it's like, goddamn. Like, does she not realize that that is kind of weird and creepy? I mean, like, I guess, it shows that obviously she's attractive and a lot of dudes like her, but, does she not kind of maybe understand that she's maybe downplaying some of the, some of the more, like, kind of sexy element of that? Because I'm being in Texas, and if that's the case, I guarantee you there's a lot of weird, creepy shit about that. I guarantee you.
Conventions, because we've been traveling to for the past 6 weeks, different conventions, and I think it's just great because like we're all the same here. Like I don't have to worry about feeling like
69. I don't know all the lyrics of it. I just know Summer of 69. That's the only part I know.
We all dress adorable. No one dresses like the way that they shouldn't dress. So I feel like that's why we also like guys are like, wait, that one's different over there. Like she's dressed like not with her whole skin out. Like her stuff's not sticking out. Like everything back at home.
Her stuff is not like sticking. Hey, lady, like you do realize that you can dress in a very unique and interesting way without necessarily having to do that. I mean, obviously you're wearing a like pink blazer and shit, which does stand out in comparison to the other chicks here wearing dresses. But hey, guess what? You could do that without necessarily having to, I don't know, like show stuff or whatever the fuck you were saying. Like, which is basically what, like, wearing like bras, bikinis, and skirts and shit. Like, which by the way, you can wear stuff like that isn't like super hyper revealing either. And also you can have different fashion that isn't super revealing but also can stand out too. I like it's not like a one thing. It's not one or the other. Like you can it's fashion. You can literally like mix and match and do whatever the fuck you want with it basically. It's like, dress how you like. Like how's that a problem?
If you go out like you're like half naked, which is like why? And then women get upset.
Why? Because they want to, and they feel comfortable with their body, and they're okay with doing so. What's the problem? Why are you looking? Why are you oogling and being like, oh my god, why? So, like, what, are you interested or something?
They put themselves on display, and they get the reaction from men like that. And it's like, obviously, you're literally displaying yourself like that. You're going to receive that
and not expect a reaction.
Oh my god. Just victim blaming, really? It's like, you can't just like that and expect a reaction. Well, guess what? Yeah, they can. They can expect to not be, like, harassed and, like, oogled and, like, cat whistled by dudes and shit just because they happen to dress a little more revealing, like. Because, like, that's how they want to dress. Like, I mean, sure, it's like, I might, for example, like, if I, walk down the street and I see, like, an attractive looking, like, kind of gothic lady walking down the street or some shit that's kind of revealing, I might take a look and be like, damn, she's looking good. She's looking good down the street, doing her thing. But that's about as far as it goes. It's not a big deal. It's like, nice. She's looking good, strutting her shit, looking confident, nice. Like, it's just basically just kind of like, basically a compliment. And, sometimes if I'm feeling a little confident myself, I'll say, hey, you look good. Like, hey, I like your shirt, or like your, outfit, or whatever the fuck. I mean, there's nothing inherently wrong with stuff like that. I mean, it's just that, like, the idea of just inherently thinking like, oh, that, just because you're, dressed like that means, it's just expected, whatever, like, reaction, people, like, give to you is just expected. So, like, what? If someone, just starts, like, fondling you out of nowhere on the street just because you're, like, dressed provocatively or some shit like that, what? Does that mean, like, you should expect it? Like, no. No, you shouldn't. That's fucked up. That's ridiculous. She said McDonald's should get into pizza business. What? That's gross.
It's as simple as it gets. If you do, then just you can't walk around and get offended or mad or upset or angry because someone responds to that.
Holy fucking shit. Honestly, watching that almost gave me a migraine, and seeing it again is just so triggering, because it is insulting to think that they believe these young women are going to be able to bring in other young women into conservatism by basically slut-shaming their peers. Well,
and victim blaming them if they happen to get harassed sexually, in public or, at a party or something like that. It's like, well, you're the one dressed provocatively and looked like a slut. It's like, what? Which also, by the way, there's plenty of women and plenty of people out there that don't dress like that still get sexually harassed anyway. So, just because you happen to, dress provocatively isn't necessarily like, or just because you dress modestly doesn't mean that somehow there's like a shield that protects you from that. Like, that's not how it works.
Conservative, otherwise you're a slut. We're the only pure good ones. It's just so insulting and sexist. I mean, they're basically saying here, if you are harassed by men for dressing a certain way, don't blame the man, blame the woman here because you're asking for it. I mean, I know boomers who would find that worldview antiquated and morally egregious because it...
I mean, even I would. Even I think my dad would disagree with that. He'd be like, well, I think they're a little weird for dressing weirdly, but whatever. So, like, I mean, because he's always had that take before. It's like, yeah, some people dress a little weird, and yeah, you might get, like, people looking at you funny and making fun of you or something, but whatever. Like, he actually kind of goes the opposite route with it. He's like, well, I'm probably going to make fun of you or something, but, whatever. He usually keeps to himself anyway, so that's pretty much about as far as it goes. So even he would think this antiquated. It's like, well, what the fuck? I mean, I think they just kind of look silly or dumb or whatever the fuck, or this and that, like, or some shit like that. Like, or just think, well, that's a weird outfit, or that's interesting, or something like that. Like, it's usually just some random one-off quip. Like, even his old ass would think this is bullshit.
Who thinks this way? This is fucking insane. They actually think that is going to bring in young women to conservatism, and not just any conservatism. We're not talking about libertarianism. We're talking about traditional conservatism. They think that's going to make it seem attractive, as they stick their nose up and tell you that they're better than you and better than all the other women. It is insane to me. So this is why I say their attempt to appeal to young people, not going that well. But apparently, they think that's going to make conservatism look good.
I guess. I mean, honestly, like, it honestly kind of baffles me with just kind of like how, like, comfortable conservatives are of just being, like, so fucking brazen about what they actually believe at this point. Like, I mean, because so much of it is genuinely fucking ridiculous. Like, honestly, I don't even think conservatives would have been making, the points like they are here, like, 10 years ago. Like, they would definitely have takes like this, but they wouldn't be so, like, overtly brazen, Like, they would kind of couch it as, like, well, it's based off of these, good Christian values, and it's godly, and blah, blah, blah. Like, they would kind of couch it as, like, softer than it actually is. But, I mean, at this point, they're just like, nah, fuck you, you slut, you piece of shit. How dare you be a degenerate Satanist scum. You need to be a traditional trad. Come on now. Gotta be a tradcon like the rest of us, you inferior peasant.
Women. Alright, it's a bold strategy, but we'll fucking see. Now, we're gonna come back to the cute conservatives in a moment. I can't believe I said that out loud. Cute conservatives is the worst word I've ever heard or said. But I want to get to a different...
Is that really what it's called? Like, honestly, is that actually what the fuck it's called? Or is he just saying that?
Because there's another trick that right-wing propagandists use to appeal to young people, and it's an appeal to their very real sense of disillusionment, which is a better strategy, right? But it's their sense of disillusionment with
I'll let this keep playing, but my dog wants to have a
party, which exists because young people are indeed dissatisfied with Biden and the Democratic Party. And so what they'll do is they'll have other young people also disillusioned with the Democrats pitch Republicans as the alternative. So here's how some ex-Democrat millennials responded when Fox News' Lawrence Jones asked them what they're looking for in a candidate.
Lydia, why did you leave the Democratic Party?
Yeah, isn't that the million-dollar question?
Why I left the left. The Fox News segment.
I left the Democrat Party when I was 24 years old. I voted for Obama twice. It really began with conversations at work with coworkers, and then it led to me just seeing the bias in TV shows like The View and late night TV. And then I'm
kind of curious what she means by that. Talking with coworkers, which honestly, like, that's usually how a lot of, like the political osmosis of a lot of Americans tend to get their politics. It's just through a lot of places like that, or like at the pub or with their friends and shit like that. But I mean, so that I am willing to believe. And she's, saying basically like, oh, the confirmation bias and this and that, which, what the fuck is that? Now I'm curious what she means.
I realized I no longer support these values. The Democrat Party is standing for something that I no longer or had always had in my culture, the way I was raised. I just didn't support that anymore, and the Republican Party supported those values more closely.
What about you, Sid?
What are they?
You leave the Democratic Party.
Yeah, so when I was in college, that was the first time that I voted, was when...
she was so quiet, then she's like, I was saying the first time college. It's like, whoa. Hey, Fox News, are you like a gigantic like propaganda network? Are you supposed to have this shit figured out before you have them on air?
And on Smith, it's a women's college, so the whole campus was in mourning because Hillary Clinton didn't win the election.
Mourning? Okay, like, I know the weird, like, girl boss power lib bullshit was a thing back in the day, but I don't think it was that fucking, like, hyperbolic. Chill out a little bit. Like, I don't think it was that fucking bad. I mean, come on. I guarantee you there was a lot of people at that campus that were probably sad and going, ooh, and there's probably a few girls huddled in a corner crying or some shit. Yeah, I'm sure that was happening a little bit here and there. But the whole campus, bullshit. Like, yeah, they all, like, gathered at the auditorium. They all collectively had a moment of mourning. The flags are raised at half staff. It's like, oh my god, give me a break. Yeah, like, pipe down a little bit. Chill out.
It was a stark difference between then and 2020, when I had a lot of time on my hands, just like everybody else. And I really started to look into the Democrats, and I realized that none of my...
Oh, not your work life?
Values aligned with them, and a lot of my values actually resembled that of the Republicans.
I'm sure that so many fucking millennials can relate to that. I too was once a Democrat, but then I watched The View, and then I saw all of these triggered liberals on college campuses and thought, you know what, liberals are a little bit cringe, so I think I'm going to abandon my entire worldview, all of the policy positions that I support, and vote for a party that is going to let the planet cook us alive.
And basically just say that those align with my values more. I'm not going to explain what any of those are, but they do. Like, I mean, I will admit, this is actually a little better in comparison to that weird panel earlier. Like, because, as vague as it is, at least, this kind of gives a more sense of, like, sure. Because honestly, what a lot of how they, like, the first half of, like, what they were saying isn't necessarily wrong. Like, yeah, like, I spent a lot of time, thinking about shit during 2020. Well, a lot of people did. And same thing with the whole, like, with the other lady, it's just like, oh, yeah, I was talking with people at work, and I was talking to, like, coworkers about, politics occasionally. Like, those are very common ways for, like, the general political osmosis of people, like, get their politics, like I said. And, especially these days. And it's like, more often than not, it goes the other way around. Which I think is why they're so fucking vague. Because if they actually were kind of explaining some of the details of those values, like a lot of people that do have those conversations and had those realizations will realize they're full of shit. And, because the revelations that a lot of people had because of those type of conversations or, time thinking around and sitting, during 2020 went the other way. Realizing, like, their, work-life balance was fucked up and that wages didn't keep up inflation, and that, the general conditions, of the country are just overtly fucked. All these factors. A lot of people start realizing that shit and seeing how much money, the fucking, fat cats have been running away with. And that's why we're, seeing the energy in a lot of the general zeitgeist that we have now. Because, like, this is, something that, a lot of people started to kind of notice. And especially, the younger generations. So this is absolutely, like, more palatable. I will definitely grant that. But they have to be super hyper vague with it and just, like, literally say just values, essentially, to keep it as vague as possible. Because if you actually explained it to them, it would be bullshit. It'd be ridiculous. And it would probably be a mess of politics that would be incoherent beyond recognition. It's a picture of margarita you're drinking. All right, here, yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking, honestly, this is pretty good. So we'll actually probably, like, put a pin on this for right now and then watch the rest when I get off work. But here, yeah. Yeah, let's see what you're drinking there, buddy. Ooh, strawberry margarita, huh? That looks pretty good. 100% agave. Nice. Save me some. That looks good. Don't drink all of that, by the way. You will get a fat fucking hangover. I'm just gonna put that right now. You wanna, like, sparse that out. You wanna, like, make that last a little bit. Yeah, I zoomed in on it. I saw where that percentile was. I wanted to see what we were working with, and that. You're basically just drinking, like a sweet, fruity wine. Splitting with mama. Nice. Make sure she gets the mama tax. Hey. But, anyway. She won't smoke, so we drink. Hey. At least it's nice that you get to drink with your mom occasionally. But, anyway, I at least call it good for now. I hit myself off to work and all that sad, fun bullshit. So, anyway, but we'll come back and, after work and check out that video a little more, because it was a long one, but I want to check out more of that, because honestly, there's a lot, like, I'm definitely enjoying that. I definitely want to kind of get more into what, some of these other little clips are and shit, because it looks good. And plus, I know it's going to be on later tonight, too, so we can check out some stuff from there as well. So, anyway, peace out, and of course,